It's time once again for GustoTV, an expert's guide to the weekend ahead. Here now are the news's critics.
Hey everybody, welcome to GustoTV. I'm Jeff Miers, news music critic. We're here in my basement at my house, and I'm not going to tell you where I live, but we're there. And I've got some special guests to do our maiden voyage of what we're going to call Jammin' at Jeff's or something like that. But to get us going on this series, we've got two of the finest musicians in the Buffalo area, or around the country for that matter. We've got George Caldwell here, pianist. We've got the legendary Bobby Militello. They have a gig coming up together at the Sportsman's Tavern, and they're going to be doing, among other things, a celebration of the music of Dave Brubeck. So I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about, I think you probably have very different perspectives on Dave. Bobby, you played a very long time with him.
30 years.
30 years. You were his go-to man. And George, obviously, with your chosen instrument, that's a shadow that you can't outrun if you're playing jazz, right? Or shouldn't really want to. But yeah, Bobby, do you want to talk about why, how it feels to be doing this now with George and this music that you obviously know so well and such a big part of your life?
Yeah, well, playing with George is enough on its own that you don't need any other impetus. And the tunes that George is putting together in the band are an ilk of tunes, besides his original stuff. It's an ilk of tunes that you gotta love if you're a player. It opens your mind up to a lot of different new territory to discover and to fool with. It's the kind of thing like the quest for the Grail, where you can never really get there, but you try every single time. Well, that's the kind of tunes that he's put into the book. Now, with the assumption that we're going to do Brubeck, I have a little input there into how we're going to play, what we're going to do. But George picked the tunes, and basically on the basis of it deserves to be carried on, it deserves to be recognized, and his life deserves to be. You can't amplify it any more than it was, but you can sure honor it, and that's what I think we're going to be doing. For the 30 years that I played with Dave, I didn't play any of Dave's tunes with anybody else. For that 30 years, I never played Take 5 with anyone. I never played Blue Rondo with anyone. I never did any of that stuff. I always kind of refused to do it. I just felt like, I don't know. I don't know really in my mind what the reason was, other than I was playing with him, so why would I play it with anybody else? Now that he's gone, this is going to be the first time out, really, that we're doing a larger assumption of Dave's tunes.
Wow.
It's going to be really cool.
That is incredibly cool. So, George, I didn't know that part, so I'm a little bit blown away by that. But do you want to react to that and talk about Brubeck and talk about what it's like playing with Bobby?
Oddly enough, when I was a sophomore at Memphis State University, piano major, Blue Rondo a la Turk and Strange Meadowlark, which are for the folks that are both Dave Brubeck compositions.
Which,
that
by
are
the way,
pretty well
Take 5 is not, right? It's
Right,
associated with him, but
that's
it's
right.
not his tune. Right.
It's like A Train is not Duke
Right.
Ellington's tune. Yeah.
Nobody knows that.
But and so those were the very first jazz tunes that I ever played in a public, like concert hall. And so I've always had that
That's a keeper.
that Brubeck influence from the very beginning, and his experiments were just, they were revelations. They were revelations, and also he brought so much to the appreciation of jazz by doing it in schools, by having concerts at school, at colleges. That was just, and so he brought all this great music that he had composed, and all the standards, and he played everything. He was a remarkable guy.
That series of Brubeck Goes to College,
Yeah.
that was his wife's idea.
Really?
That was Iola's idea,
Oh.
because they were out playing concerts, and they were hitting all the major cities. But there was all this distance, and they were driving. Nobody was flying. They were driving in station wagons.
Old school.
Yeah, so Iola came up with this thing. Look at all the colleges that are between all of these gigs. So she just got on the phone and started making phone calls and booked a whole series of concerts. So Jazz Goes to College was completely her, and then the Live at Oberlin
Right.
record that came out was a
Right.
result of that assumption, which then made that Jazz Goes to College thing. They released 2 other records from
Right,
that,
right.
and it was all Iola's idea.
And incidentally, I'm also an Oberlin alum, so.
Oh, there you
another
go.
tie-in,
Speak
yeah.
of Oberlin.
Yeah,
I just threw that in there,
Yeah,
and that just worked. It
Right.
slid right there.
This might be tough to do in the kind of time that we have here, but I'm curious if you could break down, maybe in layman's terms for the general viewer, what it is about, what did Brubeck bring that was kind of a game changer, at least in your interpretation? What did he bring to the table that's different from what Herbie brought or Bud Powell or whoever?
Well, he brought. At first, there was the tunes that jazz players were performing at the time were standards, Cole Porter, Gershwin, all that, the American Songbook, if you will, and which are pretty much 3/4 or 4/4. It's in triple or duple meter, and he brought different appreciation of time, like not just, for instance, in Blue Rondo, not just, that's in triple meter, but it's not just triple meter. It's 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 1, which is and take 5 is in 5. Unsquare dance is in 7. So he brought a new. He opened up a whole world of possibilities with time.
But then again affected the way that people would swing over that
Yes.
time too, right?
And plus, he was, I think, in his heart of hearts and at the root of his playing, he was what you call a stride piano player.
Without a question.
And but he was much more than that on top of that. And most of the things that you heard him play, he would draw from the stride thing, or he would slip into it. But he was already past that and playing more modern harmonies and time and stuff like that. So
Very well put. Tell us quickly the details of the gig. The gig is at the Sportsman's Tavern. Great room, very good sounding room, great
Best
sight
room.
lines.
Best sounding room in the city.
yeah.
That's coming from someone who
Without a question, the best sounding room in the city.
he can say that.
Yeah,
He knows.
He knows.
But anyway, the date of the gig,
April 3rd.
April 3rd, and it's an earlier show, right? So no excuses for anybody. 7 o'clock, you start it on time and play a couple sets for people.
Well, don't
So
push it. I mean, we might,
they'll start it on.
we're still minutes.
musicians,
We might be hanging just a little bit or something, But we'll start relatively on time.
They'll be on jazz time, but they will be there.
Exactly. Bring your watch.
That's right.
Well, we'd love to hear you guys play a little bit for us. What do you think you'd like to do?
Broadway?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go, guys.
One, two, 1, 2.
keeper.
They're all keepers.
They're all keepers.
That's right. You can tell by all of the re-released albums that are like would turn over everybody in their grave if they heard those takes out there.
You don't think Miles will be happy with the Bitches Brew box set?
All wouldn't be happy.
Oh, there's so much of it.
Cats would not be happy.
I'm surprised Miles hasn't crawled out of the ground and gone after Columbia Legacy.
Nobody realizes how personal that is as a player.
Yeah.
When you say I don't want that take,
That means
you know
burn
what I
it.
do in my sessions? I erase them.
Yeah. Bulk the tape.
Because I know what will happen when I'm gone, that somebody will say, oh, look, we found an undiscovered bar. I wonder why he didn't like that. I think it sounds great. Because he didn't like it. So then,
But we're never going to do that with this.
you know, that's what people don't realize. These re-releases are like, bleh, compared to the ones they picked.
They're really for completists who are just want to have everything, I guess. And it's
Or
also
for guys who want to make money off of guys that are...
not there to argue with them about it. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Exactly that.
So your group, is it quartet or quintet with featuring?
Quintet.
It's the,
Featuring Bobby,
yeah.
Tim Clark on
Yeah.
trumpet, Cameron Kane
Yeah.
on bass, Daryl Washington on drums, and myself.
And Bobby. So that's at the Sportsman's Tavern, April 1st, and you owe it to yourself and to these guys to come out and check it out and celebrate the music of Dave Brubeck and just hear some wonderful playing in real time. Right here in Buffalo made. Guys, thanks for doing this. You want to play us out with a little something?
Sure.
Thank you, man.